Good day everyone, so hope you're all doing really well. We've often talked about the quality of life changes that we'd like to see in Genshin Impact, and these notably relate to things like ascension materials, the combat, the in-game system, and in particular when we compare what we currently have in Genshin with what other games like Wuthering Waves or Honkai Star Rail etc. have. Now those talking points have already been belabored by myself and many others, so for today's video I want to talk about the Primogem and the Gacha economy in Genshin Impact. Everything that affects account progression, because there is a lot of quality of life and arguably a lot of goodwill that Genshin can get from their players. So here are the things that I would like to see, the Gacha quality of life, so to speak. First up, every single patch, when you log in, you get a free skin for any character of your choice, or if you don't like that, a free 4-star skin in Meliastra, and a choice of any limited 5-star character up until the previous 2 patches. For example, if we're in 6.0, all characters up until 4.0 are eligible. This shouldn't be an anniversary reward. This should literally be every single patch you get a free 5-star. Limited, not standard, limited. The reason I say this can work really well is if you get a limited character like Yae Miko when the Sandrone banner drops, then you've got motivation to keep logging in, playing the, what do you call it, tempering event to unlock that juicy C1 with Yae Miko. Still, look, this is not going to hurt Hoyo's bottom line. Yae Miko's an old character, and of course there are going to be more premium supports for Sandrone coming in Shesnaya. We know all of that, but at least for those of us that have been playing a long time, this would be a very good gift. It would be a very cool incentive for you to get as a player. That is just one of the changes I'd like to see, and honestly, for people thinking it'll hurt Hoyo's bottom line, no it won't. It really won't. In fact, the goodwill from it will just spur so much more excitement, particularly since we are in the era and age of buffing all the units. This just gives the game far more replayability. Okay, so that's probably a bit controversial for some people. You know, the poor little gacha company's got to make money. I just think it's fair, given the age of the game. We certainly see this in other games like Honkai Impact Third and some games like Honkai Star Rail even, where you do get free limited 5-star characters, maybe not at that pace of 1 per patch, but it's certainly the generosity is there. I don't know why Genshin's not doing it. Okay, next thing, let's talk about the live stream rewards. Live stream rewards, honestly, they should just go straight into your mail and be claimable within 42 days, so they should last the whole patch. If you haven't logged in on 42 days, honestly, you can then rightfully forfeit it. I think that'll be kind of fair. So that's the kind of things that Hoyo should do. No, none of these things like codes and so on. I think it's kind of like pointless, and it also prevents people from then spamming or trying to guess codes in advance of the live stream. So by the time the live stream drops, people have actually kind of guessed some of the more easy identifiers in advance, and then they get it's just silly how the whole thing works. Just put it into everyone's mails. It still forces you to log in, it still forces you to claim it, it still means you have to interact with the game. I mean, Hoyo's not losing that, because they just want people to log into the game. They want active player and retention counts. So I think that would be a good thing. Other games do it as well. Here's a bit of a fun one. Imagine Hoyo says for an anniversary or for a Lantern Rite event, we're going to give everyone a free Welkin. But this is going to be a special Welkin, because if you already have a Welkin, it will double stack with what you have. If you're an F2P player, you just need to log in every day and you get the Welkin. But here is the cool thing about it. What we'll do is, let's say there is a big Archon patch with Mavuika, or let's say that with the Tsaritsa coming up. We know that Tsaritsa's banner is only going to be 21 days. What we'll do is 10 days before the Tsaritsa drops, we'll start giving you out that free Welkin. Wouldn't that be so cool? Because that means for the entire time you would have had enough chance to accumulate some extra currency. Games like Reverse 99 already do this, and honestly it's not a big thing. A bit of generosity, a bit of gacha quality of life, and particularly because Hoyo, and I'll put up the chart on the screen, doesn't give as much free to play currency as some of the other games do, and in comparison to Honkai Star Rail and Wuthering Waves, the economy or the rate at which you can farm free currency is very, very slow because of the tediousness and the big expanse of Hoyo's own open world system. They try to fix it in Natland by doubling the rewards you get from chests and so on, but that hasn't kind of affected the arithmetic really. It only meant that you can get the rewards slightly faster, but the total is still kind of lagging quite a bit behind. Hence why I think if you're only gonna, if in comparison to other games, if you look at the time sink and the amount that you get out in Genshin, giving a free welcome on very like special occasions and events to all players is really not too big of an ask if you ask me. Okay, so the next one is event and rewards. So some of the events in Genshin Impact obviously last the full patch. You get some sort of currency, you redeem that currency, and then you can purchase certain items. What I think Genshin should do is after the event still open up the page, and then for those players that want to use Primogems or other currencies to buy the event currency and then redeem the items, I think that should be something that is allowed, and it's a thing that they do in Honkai Impact Third and in some of the other gacha games as well. So I don't know why Hoyo was not doing it in Genshin Impact. The reality of the situation is not everyone can always log in. Some people might be moving house, buying a house, which would be pretty cool. Some people are maybe on an international trip, or they have to work in India for 3 weeks. They might have to go to London to meet some clients for 2 weeks. Sometimes you just don't have the time, even if you really want to play it. And this is the type of thing that you can do to accommodate for those players. And maybe you kind of already spotted a pattern that I've kind of like alluded to here, but very often I think the big problem with Genshin Impact is that there is almost this constant need from the developers to have you log in every day. And I think by changing the quality of life with rewards to not just rewarding players that constantly play, but also people that cannot always afford to log in, I think that would build up a lot of goodwill. It also means that, hey, even if I take a break, I'm not going to lose too much out if I then come back. Now, some people might argue, well, this is unfair towards the players that play constantly. To that, I'd say, like, you really need a life out of Genshin if you log in every day and you're not a professional streamer or content creator. I just need to kind of like put that out. Let's see, is there anything else on my list that I missed? No, I think that's a lot of the basic things that I wanted to get out of the way. I do think as well the Genshin should go back to the previous get a free 4-star and get a free weapon on alternative event patches. This whole nonsense of a weapon skin that you get or some furniture is just not something that's really, really good. Like for me, when you get gifts and changes to quality of life, you want to almost get the sense of, hey, as a developer, I've got a gift for you. I want to make sure you get it. I want to make sure you're happy with my product. And that's the one thing the Genshin devs don't do. If you look at things like, for instance, well, another game like Infield and all of their controversy, you can see the effect of developers that are not generous. Generosity is something that buys so much goodwill. And I think the things that I mentioned today are really, honestly, arguably, the very, very reasonable demands to make of Genshin. I think these are very good quality of life changes. If anyone wants to debate me on that, if anyone is really concerned that Genshin will end of service because these would be too generous and the Hoyo devs with all their psychological tricks into tricking people to spend won't make enough money, then let's take the debate in the comment section, because I genuinely feel that for Genshin itself, the revolution now should be towards the the general quality of life, the gacha game, the engine that needs upgrading, all of these things to bring it up to modern standards. Whereas it feels to me like a lot of Genshin is still stuck in certain archaic ways, and that will just ultimately bleed players, particularly because the content offering is just too diverse in the game. But maybe that is a topic we can tackle in a future video. Alright, enough yap face from my side. Hopefully you've enjoyed this and some of the suggestions that I've gotten. Not all of these are my own, some of these I've seen in other games and so on, but once again, this is all just about a bit of a dialogue. So I'm very happy and curious to hear what other people think might be needed in the game. Alright, thanks for watching.